I always struggle to get grounded again after a long trip, like a ghost that doesn't want to go back into the bottle once it has felt its freedom.
This is one of the most transforming things I think in traveling, that like no matter what somebody says, no matter what is in the newspaper, the reality is just where you are in that very moment. And that's the only thing you can really judge. And that really transformed me in my perception towards other people. It opened me up more. It makes traveling even more easy because really what I found out is what you send out is what you get back. We can only throw away boomerangs in life. It's just going to come back the way you throw it away. And if you have an event like that, it just helps you in being more confident about the way it works, and it helps you further on along the way. I'm Peter Muurman and I'm driving a very special Ducati 998. To transfer my bike from using it as a daily commuter into the traveling I've been doing with this bike is interesting to think about, because I was so connected to this bike as it was still my childhood dream. I'm from '79, so I was a teenager in '94, and by that time the 916 was out in the market. I just put the motorcycle just upside down. Everybody was like, oh my God, what is this gorgeous shaped Italian beauty? And I was working at the DHL courier at the time. I was still doing my university in Groningen, which is a city up in the northern Netherlands. And this was my part-time job. And one of my colleagues, he noticed on the internet a 998 with 50,000 kilometers, which was an astronomical amount of mileage for only like a 4-year-old bike or something at the time. And they told me it was a rental bike. That gave me the opportunity to make it a bike I could financially reach. All of a sudden I had the top of the range 916 derivative, the latest iteration in the 998 with a more reliable engine, the Tastefully, the different heads and stuff like that, and I was just happy as a baby. And I had no agenda of traveling with a 998. It was just, I was in a situation, I had to pay back a big loan to my bank for my pilot license education, of course. And there was this other part in me that said, like, how cool would it be to have a Africa Twin, for example, or a Super Tenere? I'm not able to afford both the trip and the bike. Why not connect the two together? It's the bike I know, I can ride it very well, and I feel comfortable with it. And instead of making the choice, I could do either buy a bike, but I wouldn't have any money left to do a trip, or I can do a trip as long as I keep my own bike. I decided just to do it as an experiment. Because so many people, they tend to have their ideas of, okay, this is what I really want to do. I want to travel the world, I want to do this. But there's no action. They always have arguments not to do it because they don't have the right bike, they don't have the right money, they don't have the right job to get days off, for example. There's so many things to do. On another level, it's maybe a decision inside yourself and you're just going to make it happen anyway, no matter what. And I always felt there's nothing coming in my way. My first trip started in 2011. It was a fairly small trip. I did around 10,000 kilometers in 4 weeks. And it was nothing like a test for something more. It was just like a spark. I had the feeling I would love to go to Ukraine. Anywhere within Europe I felt quite comfortable. But Ukraine was really my first border, because it was the first border I felt like, okay, this is going to be exciting. I see a fence and I see writings I cannot read anymore. That's the first time I start noticing, okay, I'm away from home now. And that feeling never left me. I always need different writings to feel myself on a holiday. And I start sinking in the joy of being in such a place. I knew at that time, yes, engine-wise, chassis-wise, there's no problem. I can do gravel. The engine is just perfect. I just have to do a lot of modification. That motivated for me to make the modification on the cooling system. I took 2 little radiators from Aprilia. I put them a little bit more to the sides just to have less shielding from the wheel. And I just put 2 big radiators on the back of it, which I could switch on manually. I changed the oil cooler for a plate steel one because I didn't want to go to Tajikistan with the aluminium ones. You cannot weld them when you break them. I just wanted to be things repairable. That's more important, not to break down. It's a lot more important for me to be able to repair it. I drilled the holes because what I found out, even if I have the holes in, you're just pumping around hot air within the fairings. So somewhere in Europe I started drilling already in my 2013 trips, just holes inside, just to get the heat away, and it works.
Hello and good morning. Just wanted to show you this beautiful morning.
After my Tajikistan trip, I've done a trip from Amsterdam to Tokyo to extend the challenge even further. And I've always had the dream to drive Africa. And so I set up my trip to do a trip from Amsterdam to Cape Town in 2018 and started preparing after my trip to Japan in 2016. Changed engines of the bike, a lot of modifications, have experience in my bag about all the paperwork and stuff on, and just decided to drive the eastern part of Africa. So off we went and follow Europe all the way, take a ship from Greece to Israel and from there to Jordan, take the Gulf of Aqaba to Sinai Desert, work my way down the Nile River through Egypt and Sudan.
Good morning. Making our morning tea in the middle of the desert, in the middle of Sudan, in a stunningly beautiful desert. Yesterday done about 700 kilometers through the desert and seen some Nubian pyramids near Karima, which was absolutely beautiful.
The moments in my Africa trip which I cherish the most is probably it's a couple of things. It's when driving through Egypt and Sudan was really memorable for me. Because Sinai Desert was for me really the bottleneck of the trip. It would be hard to get my bike in there and myself as well. The moments I really felt the joy is like when I've overcome something I was afraid of and I made it into my comfort zone. This is how we grow. I could be comfortable all my life just sitting here around doing my mechanics every day on, but you know, I've got that memory already. Why just not make new memories as well?
It's wonderful once again. You really don't need an off-road bike for this kind of trips. Other than maybe your choice because it's comfortable and they're awesome to look at, I agree with that. So, but she's perfectly fine and healthy on these roads, as you can imagine.
And people will help you, really. And even local people, especially in like Africa or Russia, they are much more focused on solutions. They don't have problems, they only have solutions. That's the way they think. There's just no money for that in these countries. So the creativity of the brain, even with complex vehicles like modern cars, they've just come up with solutions. It's just the way of thinking is different. The challenge with the bike to overcome all the non-standard situations for a bike like this, like fuel quality or road conditions or the lack of spare parts, is just being creative. That's basically what it is. And of course it's a risk for me when I came first time in countries like Uzbekistan or areas in Africa where you get only 80 octane fuel. I guess sometimes I've just been very lucky because it appears the 998 runs just perfectly on this 80 octane fuel.
I'm good, how are you? It's a nice bike, eh? It's a racing bike.
You said you are from where?
Netherlands.
You are from Netherlands?
Yes.
Oh. I've never get out of Kenya.
the intrinsic reliability of the bike. It's more your ability to keep the bike running in any circumstance, because you're just not going to run into a shop that's going to give you a print plate for a GS 1200 in Ethiopia. It's just not going to happen.
So here we are. We are meeting up with another traveler today.
Hi guys, I'm Bülent from Turkey, from Bursa, Turkey. I left home 2016, June 2016, made Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and then came to South Africa 2.5 months ago, and then I'm heading north to Egypt, and then we will see. It's beautiful to be on the road. That's it.
If people try to talk me out of my ideas, I think maybe if I'm different, it's maybe just because my inner will is so strong to do this. And a lot of people try to talk me out of this kind of ideas to do it, one, with this bike, because it's so unreliable, or secondly, oh, the countries you're traveling are just so dangerous and you cannot trust the people there.
There's no driver coming with me, no other tourist, I'm just all alone. It is, according to the people I met before, it's very hot. I don't know, this trip I just seem not to feel the heat so much, I don't know. But for me it's doable. I have a bottle of water.
No, the bike is not perfect by far. I had many breakdowns. If people say, is it reliable? I would say no. Don't buy this bike for reliability. Just buy it because your heart is in it. The reliability with this bike is how good you are in repairing it. I've seen people ending up with the most modern bikes, ending up waiting 2 or 4 weeks at a DHL courier to find some electrical component. This bike is simple. It's got a steel chassis, the electronics is easy to follow, and everything is basically easily to repair.
We are in Cape Hope in Namibia. Just only 1,000 km from Cape Town.
As long as you know them, it's no problem. But imagine if you don't know them, it might be just the end of your trip. And the difference is small, but the consequences are big. To be comfortable at the edge of uncertainty is just something, it's all about the passion involved in relation to the bike, in relation to what you want. And I think I've had a feeling of an inner purpose. It's just a mentality issue, I guess. And I think life really starts at the end of your comfort zone. Well, I don't know if I'm different from other people, I'm just being me. Maybe there's a lot more people thinking the same, I really don't know. Keep your goal in mind. Sometimes I do things I don't like, but I have my goal in mind, because I know when I do that, I'm gonna reach my goal. To keep your purpose in mind is very important, and I think it's one of the qualities that I internally feel very strong to reach my goal. So if I set my goal, I'm going to Cape Town, I am going to go to Cape Town.